Having discussed all the cases in Danganronpa 1, we now move on to Danganronpa 2. The death of the ultimate imposter, disguised as Byakuya Tsugami, carried out by Teruteru Hanamura. At first I had conflicting feelings on this case, as Teruteru had two motives. One that was for the greater good of everybody on the island, and another that, while still good-hearted, was ultimately a selfish reason. On the one hand, he wanted to protect everybody from Nagito, who was an active threat, but on the other hand, he wanted to escape the island to visit his sick mother, to make sure that she had been able to survive without him. For the sake of the video, though, I'm going to say that this is a justified case, as although he was able to hide his more selfish reason, the desire to protect everybody from an active threat is still a noble goal, as when Nagito got caught getting his preparations ready, he straight up admitted that he wanted to start the killing, and that no matter what Teruteru did, Nagito would begin the killing game. So, yeah, the first case of Danganronpa 2, similar to Danganronpa 1, is a justified murder. Moving on to the case where we get a turning point for best boy Fuyuhiko Kuzuryu. The murder of Mahiru Koizumi, perpetrated by Peko Pekoyama on behalf of Fuyuhiko Kuzuryu. I'd say this case is justified as, in essence, it's Peko protecting Fuyuhiko from his own anger. As he stated at the end of the class trial, Fuyuhiko had the bat and was about to kill Mahiru himself, but Peko took the bat from him and killed Mahiru for him. So, I think that Peko trying to save Fuyuhiko from the island, or at least to keep him safe for another round of the killing game, is fairly noble, so yeah, that's why I believe that this is a justified case. Moving on from one good-hearted motive to another less than stellar motive. The murders of Hiyoko Sayonji and Ibuki Miyota, perpetrated by Mikan Tsumiki. Now, what I'm about to say might be a bit controversial, but hear me out. I think these murders are justified. Now, before you type out an angry comment, let me explain. The motive of Danganronpa 2 Chapter 3 is the despair disease, a disease that affects everybody who catches it a little bit differently. For example, Ibuki caught the gullible disease, Nagito caught the lying disease, and Mikan caught the despair disease. Now, the first two are pretty self-explanatory, but let me explain Mikan's symptoms a little more in depth. What Mikan caught forces her to return to her mindset as she was in ultimate despair, something that everybody else in the cast aside from Chiaki also was. Now, as you can assume, the ultimate despairs were murderous psychopaths, having been brainwashed by Junko into her despair belief. Now, if Mikan hadn't caught this disease, she would have killed nobody in Danganronpa 2. She was a harmless, sweet little character, she wouldn't have hurt a fly. But because she caught this disease, she became a bloodthirsty psychopath, killing two of her closest friends. So, because Mikan was basically forced to act out of character by Monokuma, she killed two people. Something that, again, had she not caught it, would never have happened. So that's why I think this is justified, because she was forced to act out of character by the game's writers. Yeah, I have very strong opinions about this chapter. I apologize. Fuck the despair disease. All my homies hate the despair disease. Okay, actually moving on to a good chapter now. Returning to the killing game in a robotic body, Nekomaru Nidai is killed by Gundam Tanaka. This murder is absolutely justified because of its motive. You see, Danganronpa 2 Chapter 4's motive is the funhouse, in which everyone is locked in the funhouse with no food. And of course, the only way to get food, and for everybody to escape, is for a murder to occur. At the start of the chapter, everybody is fine with this, explaining that it's better for nobody to commit murder and for them all to die, than for a murder to occur and only some of them continue to live. Nekomaru and Gundam, disagreeing with this, engage in a death battle in which, of course, Gundam is the victor. Gundam, despite trying his best to win the trial, ultimately accepts his fate, explaining in the post-trial that it's better to die fighting than to simply give up and die, which is an insult to life itself. Gundam follows this to a T, fighting to the very end in his execution. Because of this sacrificial nature, this is absolutely a justified case, as both Nekomaru and Gundam were willing to die, and everybody else continued to live because of their sacrifice. Nagito, you crazy bastard, you. The suicide of Nagito Komaeda, accidentally assisted by Chiaki Nanami. This case is definitely justified, as somebody would have been forced to kill Nagito regardless. You see, Nagito's plan in Chapter 5 was to create an unsolvable murder, as the culprit who picked the poison fire grenade, was ultimately up to luck. Chiaki just happened to be the person who grabbed the poison fire grenade. So, because somebody would have been forced to kill Nagito regardless, I think this is a justified murder on Chiaki's part, because she didn't want to kill Nagito. She just happened to grab the poison fire grenade that he had set up. If anything, this is an unjustified murder on Nagito's end, as he technically got Chiaki killed. However, since Monokuma declared that Chiaki is the Blackened, we're going to call this a justified case.
Danganronpa.